Little recap. I can't tell you what we preached last night, or we'd have to have an extra service. Which I wouldn't mind. But anyway, I'll just give you a little recap. I just preached last night that God made man for his image. The reason man's on the earth is the image of God. Let us make man in our image. You can find the intention of God in making man in Genesis chapter 1. He didn't just make you to have a good life. He didn't make you to find the right spouse. He just didn't make you to have a few kids and a good IRA. He made man for his image. And in the likeness and image of God, he made man, both male and female. He made them and blessed them. So what I shared was that men and women have the same created value. God made man for his image. And this is the part that was missed in my whole Christian life up until I was 20. I would have told you I was a Christian. I believed I got born again when I was 33. And I came to the knowledge of truth and got saved when I was 33. I stopped going to church when I was 20. I didn't get it. I didn't understand. Bless you, man. I didn't understand why God sent his son. Everybody told me because I was a sinner, he wanted to forgive me and take me to heaven. I was like, okay, but it never impacted my heart. I had more questions than answers. Why does he want me in heaven? I'm a sinner. Why does he care? I don't even know him, and he wants me to be with him forever. It just seemed weird. I didn't get it. And it didn't keep me in the church because I didn't get it. And I saw a lot of people that didn't get it. And it was just an Easter story. Jesus shed his blood to forgive me of my sins so someday I could go to heaven. That was all I ever was taught my whole life. No one ever told me that he wanted to restore my created value, put destiny back in me, that on my darkest day he didn't lose sight of who I was, that love never fails, that God knew me from the beginning, that I was his intention, his plan, his will, that he had predestined me to be adopted someday as a son. Nobody ever explained that the love of God and the goodness of God was wrapped around my created value and his will and purpose for my life. So all I thought was I was supposed to receive Jesus, say I believed in him, and then try to live a gooder life. That's really what I thought. That was what Christianity was to me. And when I didn't live a gooder life, better life, I was like, yeah, wow, well, I'm just this, I'm that. And I had zero identity in the Lord. And I really didn't have understanding. And here's why that's a paradox. You can't love God first. You see, he first loves you. And if there's any mystery wrapped around his love for you, your heart will never get impacted by his love. And you'll be reduced to serving him and doing things for the Lord instead of being in love with him. And that's just not cool. You're not created to serve the Lord. You're created to be his, to be one with him, for him to live inside of you. And I never saw his love for me. I always had mystery around it. Why would he love me so much? But I'm a mess up. But I got this in my heart. I know I feel this and want this and think this and muse this and dream this, and this ain't cool. So how can he love me when this is me? And I just went through that turmoil my whole young life. I know somebody in here can relate to that, feeling convicted about things, having the knowledge of truth but not living truth. And then you feel condemned at times and you feel far from God, but yet you hear he loves you and you're wondering, how can he? Does anybody relate to that scenario at all? Yeah. Well, here's what the Word taught me. Here's what he loves me for. He doesn't love me for where I've been and what I've done. He loves me for what he created me to be. And he's willing to pour out full grace, everything Jesus accomplished and paid for. He's willing to put it upon my life when I yield to him and seek first his kingdom and all his righteousness, and all these things are added to me. When I step into his plan, he's going to fill the tank with gas, man, and I'm going to get to my destiny. Why would he fill the car with gas if I'm not on his road? We're looking for grace to do things we're not even created for, to fulfill things. Sometimes we're trying to find fulfillment through Christian stuff. And we think that's good. It's not good. You're trying to find your identity through what you're doing for the Lord instead of who you've become in the Lord. Because these other things have a sense of insecurity to them, sense of failure, set up to fail, to low esteem, and to find yourself through others instead of through him. And it's all a trap. Because then you're only as strong as the weakness around you. You're only doing as good as people view you. And yet you're worth the life of His Son and His shed blood. So you must be a bigger deal than what it seems growing up. Come on, some of us fought for reputation, fought to be noticed. Some of us worked hard to be appreciated. And it's because we don't know who we are apart from Him. We're trying to find ourselves through life, and He's life. Are you guys with me so far? Yeah, I just feel real, I don't know what I feel right now. I feel real sober, but passionate, but real humbled in my heart. I feel on the verge of tears for some reason. Listen, guys, if we don't see God's first love, if there's mystery wrapped around it, and you have this slight question, well, how can He possibly love me? See, the reason you ask that question is because you weigh your value based on the life you know that you've lived. You know you better than anyone knows you. And that tends to judge people because you're very aware of weaknesses. Like he says stuff like, a good tree can't bear bad fruit. And the first thing we do is inspect our fruit and decide if we're a good tree. And if we find something that doesn't look good, then we're not a good tree. But then he says a bad tree can't bear good fruit. And you go, wait a minute. Not everything on my tree's a throwaway. There's some good things in my life. Now I'm confused. I can't be a good tree because there's a bad apple, but I can't be a bad tree because there's a good apple. What's he talking about? See, because we're hearing fruit, and he's not even talking about fruit. He's talking about the tree. He says, make a tree good. And its fruit will be good. He says, therefore you'll know a tree by its fruit. He says, a good tree can't bear bad fruit. Bad tree can't bear good fruit. Therefore you know a tree by its fruit. What's he talking about the whole time? The tree. We're hearing fruit and becoming fruit inspectors. We're thinking about people in the room going, I hope they're looking at their branches. Hope they're listening to Pastor right now. The whole time he's talking, he's not even talking about the fruit. He's talking about the tree. What's he saying? He's saying you got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, it'll be evident in the expression of your life. The tree's your identity. It's who you've become. If you make a tree good, if you teach someone who they are, they don't have to try to bear good fruit. They'll produce what they believe. They'll produce what... If I wake up and I know I'm a son and I know I'm loved by God and I'm not trying to pass or not trying to not fail because I'm already accepted in the beloved. I'm not laboring to be something He already accomplished. I'm waking up in Him. I'm His boy. He loves me. He's pleased to call me brethren, not ashamed. He looks at me as if I've never sinned. It's so scriptural. You're justified through Christ, just as if you've never sinned. He's cleansed you of all unrighteousness. So what remains? Righteousness. He loves me through His Son. He has restored me back to original value and placed me in the garden of His paradise and delight where He says, I bless you, I'm pleased with you, I love you, boy. If I wake up in that place and walk in what He says I am through His Son, it's going to absolutely work something amazing in me and receive grace, and my fruit's going to be automatically good because I'm a tree of righteousness. I'm not trying to be good. I'm His. He loves me. If I present my members, Romans 6, to righteousness, it'll produce its own fruit unto holiness without me biting my lip trying to be holy. Why? Because I see who I've become. If I believe I'm a son, I'm going to live like one. If I believe I'm failure waiting to happen, I'm going to be sin conscious and very aware of the things that are wrong with me, and I won't build on what God's doing in my life. Now I'll be nitpicking and troubleshooting, and if I look at my life that way, guess how I'll look at yours? Because you love your neighbor, no way around it. The greatest two commandments of heaven are love God with all you are, all your heart, your soul, and your strength, and love your neighbor. Wonder if you don't have a good view of you. Well, then you have a very foggy view of them. Come on. If you see yourself condemned, if you see yourself in a nitpicky way, if you're fault-finding, you'll see what's wrong with everybody else instead of their created value, their purpose, and their destiny. Why did God send His Son? Because we were getting it all right? Because He knew who we were created to be. And when man sinned, He never lost sight of their destiny. He never lost sight of what He put man on the earth for. Love never failed. For thousands of years, men haven't been able to change God because of who He is and what He sees. It's so important for us to take on the same. But for thousands of years, God's been changing men. No one has ever been able to change Him. But He's changing men. Why? Because of who He is. Who is He? He's love. Love doesn't seek its own. Love doesn't take a record and make a record of the things wrong to it. Doesn't rejoice in iniquity. It doesn't puff up and parade around. It's not looking for a reputation to be noticed. Love is amazing. Love is God. He made us in His image, and the image of God is love. God made us to be like that. But love got perverted and twisted and got cut off in man, and man became in need of love instead of becoming love. You and I were born into Adam in need of love, lost identity, fighting to find who we were along the way. Born into Adam, guys, and you must be born again. We turned it into a prayer to go to heaven. It's a transformed life. It's a change of identity and destiny. You don't bring Him into your life to survive. You don't bring Him into your life in hopes of a better day. You don't come to a service for what He might do for you. Your major motive and desire is how He can make you more like Him, because that's how He made you for His image. So the Bible says to put off the old and put on the new. The Bible says, die to the old man and his deeds. Put to death the things of your flesh. Put off you yourself. It's not a prayer line. You yourself put off these things and put on the new man. You know what Colossians 3 says the new man is? It says the one that's renewed in knowledge according to the image of the one who created him. So I guess this thing is all a restoration back to the image. It's not just getting the whole book of promises to pray and have things happen for you. It's you becoming a brand new person and living from a brand new place, so that light shines out of your life, so that you know how to make peace and show mercy and walk in love. The Bible literally says in 1 Corinthians 3, what's really the point of you having the knowledge of every mystery and faith to move every mountain if you don't have love? Trouble is, in the church today, knowledge of all mysteries is a prophetic icon. The closest thing to Jesus you've ever seen, and everybody's thronging to that individual for impartation and a word. Faith to move every mountain. Come on, there's a line around the world in front of that individual to get your mountain moved. And the Bible uses an extreme example of unlimited gifting. Without love is a zero. It's in the chapter of the excellent way. Become in love. Everything flows through love. I'm not saying this to boast to me. That would be really weird. But so don't hear what I'm not saying. I was 9 months old in the Lord. 9 months, guys. That's a little before we're walking in the flesh. 9 months. We're crawling. We're getting around good. Some of us at 9 months are starting to stand up. Hold on. Right? That's early, though. 9 months. So I was 9 months old in the Lord. I mean, I got little spiritual huggies on. I'm a little baby, we think. You know, rock me, Papa. Put me to sleep. Wah! You know, we're not babies. We're filled with the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead. The Spirit of God's in us. The day I'm born again, light comes into me. And I have the ability to influence and actually be a leader in motive and display. Perspective. The day I'm saved. You become a new creation, man. You're sanctified and set apart. You're in the world and not of it. The day you're born again. By the time I was 9 months old in the Lord, I had no one telling me I couldn't. I just got in a bedroom and read my Bible with tears. and asked Jesus to reveal himself to me. 9 months saved, every gift listed in the Bible. The 9 gifts that we all preach on and talk about, I didn't even know where they were. I didn't know to preach them. They all flowed through my life by the time I was 9 months saved. Working of miracles, gift of faith. I woke up the day after I was saved praying in tongues, and nobody told me I couldn't. Nobody told me I could. It was just happening. And I was like, whoa. And I knew it was God, and I was weeping, and I was all alone in my bedroom. The first conviction I had as a man was my manhood, my definition of manhood, my need as a man, my view of women, my relationship with my wife, and I cried like a baby. And I said, God, you couldn't have made me this way. It's self-centered, it's self-seeking. We call it love, we say it's normal, but it's at the expense of someone, it's at the demand, it's to fulfill something in me. This is what God did to me day one, the morning after I got saved. This spirit of revelation came, and I said, there's no way you put any person on the earth with the identity to meet my need. That's what you do. You fulfill me. You didn't create a human being to scratch my itch. No one was created with the value of meeting my need, guys. So my definition of sexuality and manhood was perverted. I got it from the world. And I realized it day one in the presence of the Lord. It's the first thing that came to me, because it's the thing that stumbles most of us the most. Because we were taught by life, not the giver of it. Yeah. I mean, I cried and did what a lot of men wouldn't dare even think of doing. I surrendered my definition of manhood and called it a lie, a perversity, and a tragedy. And I said, I believed this all my life. I learned it from the world. You couldn't have made me this way. You've got to change me. And I was never so serious about something in my life, bawling in my bedroom when you weren't there. I didn't have to pray it. I wanted to. I wasn't putting on a show in a service. I was alone in a room with a door closed. And I was seeking him. And the wonderful Spirit of God came upon me and changed me forever. That's why I'm a little flighty right now. I mean, that was only 20 years ago. It's pretty fresh. Yes. Feels like yesterday to me. He changed my life. He took that selfish thing out of me, because I realized it was selfish. And I got to looking at my Bible, and I started realizing God made me to love. When Adam ate the tree, love was perverted and twisted and 180'd. What's 180 of love? Self-centered. There's no selfishness in love. There's no love in selfishness. It's what we taught last night. I'm kind of recapping. Yeah, forgive me. It's a long recap. You guys getting anything out of this, though? Okay, listen. This is amazing to me, because till I was 20, all I was taught was a gospel that benefited me with everlasting life. I was taught a mysterious God that had the ability to love me no matter what I've done. And it created questions, and it didn't empower my heart. Faith works through love. If you don't see the love, what do you believe? Your life's surrounded with mystery and quandary and wonderment. And I've heard the gospel preached a lot of times, and it's rarely scratched for what it really is. And then people are taught it to certain things, so they go on to be teachers and only teach what they were taught. And hundreds of years could pass by, and we've got lots of books saying lots of things. But who's really free, and who's really knowing Him, and who's really walking in Him, and who's really seeing His glory flowing through life, and who's really moving in the giftings of God without struggling, striving, and up and down? And that would be my question, because in my life, I'm not being judgmental, I haven't seen a lot of people flooded with joy. I haven't seen a lot of people walk super close to Him where you see Him in their countenance. I'm talking consistency. I'm talking not letting life speak louder than truth. I'm talking about not letting what you're going through decide you in the moment, but what He went through has already settled you. Facing every situation from the truth and the resurrected Christ that lives inside of you. And that's what I was on the journey for, man. I was like, change me. I got in a room with him. It was a fun, wonderful time. Because my heart went, and I started to understand and realize things and realize, whoa, I've been so selfish to the core. I don't even like myself. I need people to like me to prove I'm likable to me. And I'm living for me and don't even like me. I didn't even want to look in a mirror. I knew me. I knew my twisted motives. I knew I had other intent. I knew I could be nice to you and not even like you and win the moment and get whatever I needed. I knew I learned how to live at the expense of you. I had no idea how to lay down my life. You say, well, I don't live at the expense of people. Every time your attitude is detrimental to truth, you live in a family and you just get in a mood. For a half a day, you're boasting in not knowing him and don't even realize what you're doing. Because Jesus doesn't get in those moods. Jesus doesn't give his spouse the silent treatment. He doesn't give his bride the silent treatment and say, well, I'm mad at you. And then you have an air through the house. Getting your spouse's attention? Are you kidding me? It's control and manipulation. It's immature and it proves you don't really know Jesus like we sing. Because he doesn't live that way. Not being mean, just being real. Because we get so familiar with each other, we've taught ourselves that this is the way we are, but it's not the way he is. And we all say we're following him. Let's follow. Come on. I'm not being overbearing right now. Don't get overwhelmed by my passion. This thing is real. We have taught ourselves this is the way we are. Well, it's our family, you know, everything goes. We get over it. We still love each other. Stop. Stop that. So you sing Holy is the Lamb on Sunday. Worthy, holy. And then you fight in the car over where you're going to eat. And say we're family. No, we probably have self-centered needs at the cost of one another in the moment. And we say, well, why do you always get to pick? Well, I want to go where I want to go. Well, how come you picked last week? And there's really animosity in the car. And you say you're okay, but how long can you live that way and really be okay? How close can you really be when those things are in your heart? When you're proving by the conversation, it's all about me. I sing it's all about him, but it's all about me. I say I love you, but I love you for me. Come on. So now we're only doing as good as people are agreeing with us, loving us, and meeting our needs. What a deception, guys. The gospel is none of that. The gospel is you and me laying down our life, denying ourselves, picking up our cross, and following King Jesus. Come on. If any man come after me, I preached it last night, if any man, anyone, that's an awesome phrase. That means everybody's invited. If any man come after me, let him first deny. Why? That's the biggest stumbling block on the planet, living for you. You weren't made to live for you, you're made for his image. It's in your Bible. You're made for his image. We're to put off the old man. That's the lie. That's Adam. That's the fall of man. We're to put on the new man. Who's he? Renewed in knowledge according to the image. So that's look who Jesus is and follow that and don't look anywhere else. Don't say, yeah, but my friend. Yeah, but you don't understand. Yeah, but I... Stop. Follow him. Get your eyes fixed on him. Just looking unto him, the one that authored your faith and the one that will wrap and tie this thing up. He started it and he'll finish it. Keep your eyes on him. Yeah? Come on, not, well, yeah, but I feel. Yeah, but you don't know what I'm going through at work. What are you trying to say? You're just justifying your flesh. You're sure tomorrow will be yesterday. But we're all going to show up for church. Come on, man. But we got our challenges, our struggles, brother. No, we have wrong views and perspectives, and that's why they seem so challenging. Why does any of that challenge you? Why doesn't it make a draw on Christ? Why doesn't it just squeeze you and Jesus just squirts right out? So somebody comes in her life, a circumstance comes and goes, and she goes, Jesus in the room. She's not threatened by the circumstance, threatened by what she fails to see about who he is in her in that moment. Only threatened by what she fails to see about who he is in her in that moment. Yeah, but they treated me wrong. Yeah, I guess Jesus could probably go there with you if he thought like us. They probably treated him a little wrong. You think maybe a little? You think maybe they treated Jesus just a little wrong? Do you think maybe he only ever did totally right, totally pure, and totally perfect? And got treated as if he was no good at all? And humiliated to the point of death, probably stripped naked and killed on a tree? The most brutal, horrible, awful way to die. The most mocking, demeaning, degrading death you could die in that day. Do you think he was like completely pure and holy and perfect? Do you think he even deserved even slightly what they did to him? Do you think he had issue, or did he stay silent and go like a lamb to the slaughter without any word? Or do you think he like spit and screamed and there's 4 men trying to hold his arm down to spike him? You fools, don't you know who I am? I've done nothing but good. Ah! It didn't look like that. Nobody took his life. He carried his death sentence. He laid it on the ground and laid and waited on it till they came. Because no one could say that they took his life. He was waiting there. I promise you, those thieves were screaming like we've probably never heard. You put that first spike through a hand of a human body, and now you're forcing the other one and ready to do it again after you just felt the first one. Think about it. Get real. And now they're holding your feet together and they're going to drive that thing through your feet. I think about that stuff. And there's Jesus waiting. Drive them in, boys. This is why I came. One day you'll see if I be lifted up. I'll draw all men unto me. Living epistle of love in the strongest moment of his human life. About ready to be raised up and show you what love looks like. Deserved nothing and took it all upon himself to get truth back on us, to get his spirit back in us, to get destiny and identity to restored. And somehow we've turned it into blessings and answered prayer. So we got frustrated Christians that aren't getting their fair shake. And what am I doing wrong? Why don't I have blessings? Oh my goodness. You got blessings if you'd open your eyes and see. You've got the Spirit of God living inside of you. And in him is all that he is. Forgive me for being a little flaky with you this morning, but I'm just having fun. I just know I live life like you do, guys. I'm not above the clouds. People do you wrong. People say things they should never say. People misinterpret what you said. People call you things that have never been in your heart. And if you don't know who you are, you're at their mercy and there is none. And if you don't know who you are, you're in big trouble in that moment. And insecurity grabs you. And now you're afraid to even speak and all that kind of stuff. And now you pick and choose who you will and who you won't. And who you do and who you don't. I am not going to live that way, friend. I'm having too much fun. Not thinking about me. Not thinking about me has been the freest day of my life. That's why I'm a little flaky this morning, because I'm talking about a topic that brings absolute freedom. We sing, I'm free, I'm free. What are we even singing? Do you even know what you're singing? Well, you think you're just free from the sins you committed? No, you're free from the old fallen nature. You're free from the old wrong motive. You're free from yourself if you really understand, and you're finally free to live in him, unlimited and unreserved. You've got to get your mind renewed. If you bring the old way of thinking into a new life, it's like an old wineskin, it'll burst. You can't bring new wine into an old wineskin. What's he talking about? Just bringing the way that seems right. The familiarity of your emotions, your mindset, your opinions, your friend's advice. The way that seems right to man. They did what to you? No way, I can't believe it. You must be so hurt. Well, yeah, I mean, it really, oh, honey, come here, let's pray. We think it's spiritual because we had prayer on the end. Jesus isn't even in the conversation, guys. You're empowering people to be broken and you're calling it compassion. No, it's because you'd be broken too.